Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. As I always say, it's really good to be with you. My name's Graham Moore. I am a certified master of the Leadership Challenge. Been around a long time. If you didn't know about it, the book is in the seventh edition. My gosh, it's used and learned by people. People learned by people. People use the Leadership Challenge book as a wonderful reference for developing their leadership style. And I encourage you who are listening tonight, if you haven't read it or seen it, I encourage you to get a copy of the Leadership Challenge. It's pretty amazing. And I know there are two gentlemen who are sitting with me at the moment who will concur, and they will also agree with me. So, sorry, I'm playing with the English language. So, let's just welcome today, as I always do. I'm doing it in reverse order today, I think. Phoebe, good morning. Good, where
Morning.
you are in Dubai.
Morning, Graham and Mohammed. Good to be here and good to be with all of you listeners and viewers. Thanks for joining us today.
Mohammed Shukri in
Good,
Bahrain.
good morning from Bahrain. Nice to see you again, Graham and Phoebe. And hello to all our viewers, wherever they are.
Now, I'm going to suggest, well, I'm going to pick up a suggestion that Mohammed had, which I'm not claiming credit for this, but I think it's a fantastic idea. Mohammed suggested that we talk about, each of us individually, about a leader or maybe another, a leader or two that had a significant influence on each of us in our leadership journey. So this is going to be kind of personal. And this personal aspect is about how we, three of us, embraced leadership, how we learned, who we learned, and what we learned, who we learned from other, and what we learned in this process, and how the memory or the learning that we had from them is still with us today, even though we are learning from others. So, Mohammed, you were the one who very kindly and wisely made this suggestion. So I'm going to, as we say, throw it to you. So please share with us the core story or stories about how you became the leader that you are now.
Right. Thank you, Graham. So, the leadership challenge, the five practices, especially enable others to act, stands out for me when I think of someone who saw me staying stagnant for longer than I should in a stage, and I'm waiting to develop. I'm still waiting. I'm still not ready. But someone sees you and says, "No, you're ready to go to the next stage," and they take the decision to push you to that higher stage, next stage, because they believed in you that you can. To me, that is enabling others to act in my life. So the primary story is that I was in the safety department and just joined. And part of my job, like my other colleagues, is to deliver safety inductions, presentations, workshops, trainings all over the company. And suddenly, one day, my manager says, "Mohammed, I am going to deliver special workshop, safety workshop, and a breakout meeting for all the company's management, top and middle." That was around 35 managers. So you're talking about CEOs, general managers, and managers. They are going somewhere fancy, and first half of the day, he has to deliver 3 hours workshop about the latest in safety, um, and combined with the company's strategy. And I want you to come with me. Do I come with you to watch? Do I come with you to learn? Do I come with you to help you with the stuff or something? And is anyone else invited? No, Muhammad, it's only you. And you're not coming to do any of that. You're coming to present with me. I was like, what? I recently joined. I'm new and I present with you. I share the stage with you. You are the author of 4 books, global safety books. You are the manager. I'm just in the hierarchy, I don't even report to you. No, Muhammad, I want you to be there with me. I believe in you. And I'm going to give you the module I want you to share and teach the executives. You know, I never dreamt to meet the executives and shake their hands one by one, okay, which they are okay, but I couldn't believe I prepared myself that day. I went with my managers. None of my department colleagues were with me. Some of them are way, uh, before me. So we went there and he gave me the stage, the half an hour only, and I delivered my part of the presentation, and it was the time for the break. So the managers, as soon as I finished, they didn't go to coffee or tea. They lined up to come and shake my hand one by one and say how much we are proud that we have someone in the company who can deliver in that way the safety subject. Of course, the manager's intention was also to show that our safety team is capable, which is good, part of the agenda, which is good. But from that moment, I was never the same. I believed in myself. And he said, Mohammed, you can do far better. And from that moment, the invitations outside the company to speak about safety started, not only inside the company. So conferences started inviting me. So wherever I am today, because of that little act, little invitation, which looks tiny, but it was enough to push me from self-doubt to believing in myself. So if there is something I can remember and want to reward, is that moment when my manager believed I can do this, and actually he gave me the space and pushed me to do it. So that's my story, enabled me to act.
Wow. You know, there are 4 words that are very powerful in what you said. And I want leaders everywhere to remember and use these 4 words to the newer members of the team, to the lesser experienced members, even more experienced. Here are the 4 words. You can do this. You can do this. This is about empowering them. Simple 4 words makes a huge difference in developing others. And that little step that person, in your case, may have taken because someone said, you can do this, was part of the growth of a wonderful tree, if you like, the huge elm that you are, because of the seed that was planted with those 4 words. You can do this. Well done, Mohammed. Great story. Phoebe, your wisdom, please.
Yeah, it was inspiring to hear the story from Muhammad. And what I recollect from one of the leader is one of my professor during my studies for my bachelor's in economics and later master's in economics. So you might have heard once I shared that, I scored very less marks to be eligible to get into a college. That was after my 12th grade. The 12th grade result was um, very low. That was, to be eligible for writing entrance exams in India, you should be getting 50% of the. I scored less than that, 49. So you cannot be exploring engineering or that option. So I was a bit, in a demotivated stage. What next? What to do next? That was pondering me at that time. And and again, I like to acknowledge my father who said, nothing, don't worry, nothing will happen. There is always different ways of approach. And with his inspiration, along with, for example, I applied to colleges, and in 3rd and 4th chance, there was few seats available. I was able to enter into the regular college to study economics at that time. And there was doubts, as economics, because I scored less, what will happen for my economics? And I recollect the way in which the department had addressed us. Okay, economics as a field is beautiful, which enable people to improve their quality of life. And this is what he said: forget about what you scored in the past. That doesn't determine your future. It is your small actions. It is your um, you know experimentation mindset which leads you further. So that words was really motivating for me. And the stories, for example, when I look back, when I reflect, he was actually practicing all the 5 practices of exemplary leadership, which James Kazuz and Barry Postner has taught all of us, which included modeling the way, inspiring a shared vision, challenging the process, enabling others to act, and encouraging the heart. What touched me is the encouraging the heart part, which was always very, very personal to me. Or when he interact, I felt it is addressing to my needs at that point of time, even though he's addressing the whole class. And the way in which he shares stories of how students have moved to different fields, even though they have struggled in their previous academic field. So, for example, I still resonate a story which he shared that in Kerala, in India, where I studied, you have to get 210 to pass the 10th standard exam. And he shared this story about a person who scored 210, but later on prepared himself, studied himself, and went to postdoctoral program in Oxford. That story still is there in my mind. So through that word he was actually enabling us to act as well as encouraging the heart. The possibilities where we all can move in, and that action. Actually, he also did one more thing. He delegated sometimes. I was able to improve my performance academically in economics in the bachelor's phase, helping me to get into the university with to proceed with the master's program. And before the results came, he said, "Phoebe, we like to offer you guest faculty role." And that was a delegation. Delegating me to teach the new fresh master's students on the entry-level topics as a guest faculty. And that was also enabling me to act, improving my own skills and building the confidence in me in that process. And so I share, Professor, I have applied for this. I have done this. So this is the word he always says: Phoebe, you are enterprising, keep it up. There are different options and which you can explore. And these words, the power of words also, and in that process, I felt that he's inspiring a shared vision within me in that process to move forward. So, and also definitely challenging the process. Why did you do like that? So giving us the opportunity to think differently. What is the constraint which you have? Why not? And again, as Graham is another mentor who always say, what if? So these options definitely have, encouraged my heart to explore further. And I want to highlight that, I got into the top 10 of the university at that time in economics to complete the master's. So again, now when I look back, why I am into the facilitation, why I'm into the developing others is because of his inspiration, encouraging the heart to do and build and enable others and uplifting. And I find joy in that process, So these simple acts by that professor at my college, I still appreciate what he have done and I see all the practices he was modeling the way. He was inspiring a shared vision. He was challenging the process. He was enabling us to act and encouraging the heart all through the way, even now. So
Wow.
that is the story I have.
Wow. Fantastic.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Now we know that leadership is personal. And I hope that people who are listening to us today don't think that we are being indulgent and talking about what may seem to be kind of minor stories. These are not minor stories in our life. These are actual markers in our life journey which have created us or helped to create us the way we are today. And I'd like people who are listening to us to think in their life, who has done this to impact positively on them as leaders, and how they have become themselves a leader because of what someone did for them. So I'm going to keep on with this personal aspect for a little while. And I hope this is not indulgent. Probably one of the first leaders that impacted my life was an uncle of mine. I must say the uncle of mine. I have never called him that before, but he was the most important uncle in my life. And one of the reasons was that I worked on the farm. It was a market garden that he was running. It used to be my grandparents' farm, and he took it over. And I worked every school holidays at Christmas for 6 weeks. I worked on the farm from the age of 13 up until I finished high school when I was 18. And in that time, I observed him and what he was doing. He was quiet. He never ordered or never was in any way abusive to anybody. One of the things that I took away from him was the respect that he had from everybody that he dealt with. And he was prominent not only in the work that he did on the farm, but a business that he'd set up with others. He was prominent in the church field. He was prominent in sport. He became an Australian hockey umpire. He got the qualifications as an Australian hockey umpire. So he had diverse interests. And I learned from him and observed him. And one of the things I take away from him was the respect that he gathered from others. Yes, he encouraged my heart, but I always wanted to do the best I could for him because of who he was and how he treated me, not because necessarily he was my uncle. I had other uncles, but this one was special. And I may have mentioned before, I spoke to him one Christmas. The last time I spoke to him was just 3 months before he passed away at the age of 100, just before he turned 102. Now, there was another impact on my life a little bit later, when I got into, as some of you know, I got into the television industry, which I'd been wanting to get into. And there were two gentlemen in this organisation. One was the chairman of the company, the managing director, and he was a household name in Australia because of what the company was doing in terms of producing television programs. His name's Hector Crawford, and he was, as I said, a household name for what he did. Also, part of the management team was his nephew, Ian Crawford. And as I'm talking about this now, Ian is sadly in care and is not expected to live. And I wrote an email to him or to someone who I hope is going to read it to him just yesterday, reflecting on what I learned from him and how he enabled me to grow as a leader, as I was given the responsibility of producing television drama. And as a producer, you have responsibility for everything about the show. And of course, you've got actors, but you've got to make sure that the actors are doing what you want them to do through the directors, and they're the ones that you're talking to. And of course, all the cost controlling, the creative aspects of it. And finally, when everything's put together for the episode, it's my decision as producer that, yes, this episode can now go to the network to go to air. So I had the final say on all of these things. And yet I was doing it within the name of the company, which had a very high reputation. And I was working with Hector Crawford, who was wonderfully supportive. and encouraged me to do things which I'd never thought I could do. And Ian, his nephew, and I worked very close together. And I remember when I was first appointed as a producer for the first time to produce a new television series, I remember saying to him, Ian, I'm going to make mistakes. Please let me make them so that I learn. And he did. But I also found that we could talk and have opinions about what I was doing. And he was never pushing back if I had a good reason for doing something. He would absolutely listen. And that was one of the strengths in many ways of our relationship. Did he model the way? Yes, he did. Did he inspire a shared vision? Well, we were producing television drama that was going to be seen around the world. And we wanted to produce the best television entertainment that people can watch in the comfort of their own homes and look forward to watching these programs every week. That was how we became successful. And so I'm sad at the moment because even though I haven't seen this gentleman for quite some time, he had a significant influence on me and my leadership as a producer of television programs. As a producer, I would have 5 or 6 direct reports, and there could be 80 people who are part of the team bringing this television program together. So yes, it was something that involved a lot of very strong emphasis on leadership in order to get the best out of everyone. So that's my little piece about those people who influenced my leadership style, and who started it in many ways for me, particularly my uncle. He wouldn't have known that what he was doing, that I would go, wow, I really am inspired. I didn't know that was the word at the time, but I really respected so much who he was and what he was doing, and so did so many other people. This is because of the man he was and how he led other people. So I hope, as I said a few minutes ago, that people listening to this reflect on people in their lives who've influenced them, the people who might have said, you can do this, the people who might have given you an opportunity to step up, who might have said, as they said to Phoebe, I believe in you. They might have said, don't worry about that, the fact that you got 0 for that exam. You can, or not 0, but 49. But you can. That's history now. Move on. And there are people in our lives, I know, and I want people who have done this. And I want people now, as they listen to this, just to reflect on the impact that those leaders had on them, and then for them, you as listeners, to think of what you can do to help others become better leaders. Gentlemen, final comments.
Final comments. As we shared our stories openly, and just to reinforce what Graham said, please reflect on who has enabled you, believed in you, and uplifted you to somewhere you didn't believe at the time you were ready for. But also, we also encourage you to be that one who does this for others, and never underestimate any tiny act you do to believe in others. And if I could take extra minute for a bonus story, I recently had a meeting with a client and few people attended. There was one young man smiling widely at me all the time, and I don't know why. Then when we left, he said, I'll show you the way, Mr. Muhammad. And on our way to the elevator, he said, you don't remember me? I said, no, my son, I don't remember you. He said, I am so and so and so. I said, oh my God, yeah, I do remember you. Yeah, but I don't remember what he was about to say. He said, he said, you are the one that one day you did a training for public speaking for youth, which I do. That was long back when he was young teenager. He said, you proposed my name to become an MC, and I didn't believe I could do it. And when I did it, you told everyone there, this young man has a bright future. Today, I'm the regional director in my company, regional for whole the Middle East. And
Wow.
that moment you pushed me. So the people who did this to us, let's do this to others.
Yes.
This is the spirit of the leadership challenge and leadership in general, anyway. So instead of just reflecting back, let's go to the future and see who we can empower. And
If we create a spark in one person, and that person passes that spark on in terms of helping them become leaders, and that third person passes it on, we can create a change in this world. You don't know, I don't know, the impact of what we say when it affects others.
yeah,
It's like the ripples in the ocean. We don't know, but please create the ripple. Please create the spark. You don't know the bushfire that you might create when you create that spark. I should use a better word than a bushfire, because bushfires can be a bit nasty. But
don't worry,
let's
Phoebe's
call
going
it
to end it, softly. He's going to put out the fire now.
yeah, but let's call it a raging inferno. Let's call it that. You might create the spark, and that spark can become a raging inferno. Please look at how you can impact others that you're dealing with every day. Phoebe, one final word from you.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing your insight. I just want to inform all of you, remember, leadership is about the actions we take every day, no matter how small that can be.
Yeah.
And, tiny actions can have big impact. So reach out to us if you need any help with respect to developing leaders within your organization. And we are here to support you. And please share our program with your friends, subscribe, and spread the word.
Remember, tiny sparks can become raging infernos. Mohammed, one word from you.
Every day you can do something to someone. Every day.
Yep.
Every single person. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Have a great week, both of you, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, wherever you are in the world. Please keep in contact with us. Please share this with others. Let's, as I said 3 times in the last minute, I think, let's create a raging inferno of leadership around the world. And we look forward to being with you again next week.